quite over yet. Might get snow tonight, eh? Roll call, please.
Mike Bauer.
Present.
Jared Clement here. Chris Ravish. That's right, I'm here. Paul Palmerville.
Here.
Nicole Jones, not here. Lynn Anderson present. Mark Kuchar.
Present. Any additions, deletions, changes to the agenda? Seeing none, need a motion?
So moved. Support.
Motion support, any discussion on the agenda? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right. Agenda's approved. Community comments, anybody like to address the board?
Is this the time, Mark?
This would be the time,
Or
sir.
do you want us to wait for public? Because I don't want to disrupt our meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have public
Yeah.
comments, and I'm not sure what's the
No, this-
appropriate time.
Tom said that was okay last time, so we'll go with it. We'll let you.
I don't want to be any more of a disruption than
No,
maybe.
that's what we're here for.
My wife would like to talk, please.
Well, I just want to say that we did receive a letter from Mr. View, and we appreciate this letter. Thank you. However, I would like my son Taylor to read it so that it's clear to everyone, as kind of a recap to those that don't know what's going on. I would like him to stand up and read it for us.
Dear Mr. and Mrs. Wilczynski, I am writing this letter to clarify the situation that has taken place with your son, Chance Wilczynski, in regards to his class rank, which was the subject of recent discussion. First, I would like to apologize for this unfortunate incident. As I mentioned to you, this discrepancy was discovered after the second semester of 2019-2020 school year due to the implementation of a process which takes place within our counseling department designed to verify our top 10 students for their graduating class. This process involves staff checking the accuracy of the top 15 students in the class to ensure that before the school designates the valedictorian, salutatorian, and top 10 students, the list from which those designations are made is accurate. Once that list is verified, the district then makes the formal announcements of the designated students to the students, their families, and the public. In this case, we discovered that your son's downward adjustment for dropping an advanced placement course had not yet been made. Unfortunately, Chance went from being second in the class to third in the class after the adjustment was made. I would also like to stress that we understand how unhappy you and your family are about this unfortunate circumstance. Although the district will not identify your student as co-salutatorian, we have implemented measures which we believe will avoid this prospect from happening again. In the future, report cards will notify recipients that grade point averages and class rankings are subject to change pending final review and verification of these factors. Also, final class standings and GPA will only be updated after a final audit occurs after completion of the 7th semester. The district also plans to examine and clarify the process of deducting grade points for students who drop advanced placement courses. In addressing your concern that college officials might be inclined to conclude that Chance was misrepresenting his class ranking, I would like this letter to first and foremost be evidence that Chance at no time ever knowingly admitted a false grade point average. It is clear that he only submitted what was on his report card that the school had issued. As noted, Chance's grade point average at the end of his junior year was slightly higher than it should have been because an adjustment had not been made in regards to his dropping an advanced placement class at semester. The district currently has a policy that students who drop advanced placement courses at semester do not earn extra grade points towards their grade point average. If you believe further intervention on our part with any colleges and universities to which Chance has made applications or representations to is necessary, we are willing to provide written confirmation of these circumstances to the appropriate person or entity upon your request. Again, on behalf of Pinconning area schools, I would like to apologize for the situation. As I stated earlier, we are committed to making efforts to prevent this from having a negative impact on Chance's future endeavors. If we need to have further discussion on this issue, or if additional concerns arise, please feel free to contact me. Sincerely, Michael View, Superintendent.
As my wife said, we're grateful to have this letter to go back on if need be in the future. And we wanted to be here tonight to bring this to a public meeting because we had met privately last time, and I think that this needs to be a matter of public record. I am extremely disappointed in the school and the school board for not being able to negotiate or make this right for my son. I sincerely hope that the changes that Mr. View spoke of are going to happen so that no child has to go through this in the future, but it's not going to help my son. I have been told that upon us being able to look at this as a discriminatory action, or in the event of chance losing scholarships, that is the point where I can take legal representation for this, and I will do so. So, I wanted this in the public. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address the board? Yes, could you please state your name?
I'm Janine Atwater, and having read different information on this, I understand that your policies in your student handbook are legally binding. Now, this mistake should have been cleared up after this junior year, and yet it was well after a year before it was changed. If that handbook said the end of the 7th semester, how can you change a policy that was legally binding at that time? And I would also like to know did anyone talk to the individuals that were responsible for this mistake? Did anybody on the board talk to them and find out how this happened? No one. Okay, so in other words, you're saying a mistake was made. You're off the hook, and he's the only one hurt. So in other words, if any student has a disciplinary problem, they can say it was a mistake, and they should also be off the hook? Is that what it is? It doesn't seem right. No comments? Thank you. I just think it's very unfair, and it's shameful.
Yes, sir. Again, could you state your name?
Leroy Atwater. I wasn't gonna say anything right now, but my daughter, when they came to the private meeting you had, they left, and I asked her about the minutes of the meeting, what school board member voted what, and she never received anything. And when you go online, there's nothing on it. It says you did have a meeting. I believe she's gonna ask you also, but I want the copies of that minute, of that meeting. And I wanna know which school board members voted what. Okay? I know it's by law you have to vote, so I know I'm not asking for anything, because I've been on boards for many years. Thank you.
Anybody else like to address the board? Okay. If not, student Spartan.
Okay.
Ms. Woodruff?
All right, our middle school representative couldn't be here tonight, so I'll have Vanessa come up here to represent for the high school. Vanessa is our February student of the month. She is represented with your parents, Julie and Ken Selly. Vanessa was nominated by Mrs. Holmes. Mrs. Holmes says that Vanessa is one of those creative, independent workers who is down to earth, fun, bright, and kind. I wish she was in art room all day. Her hard work and concentration is contagious to those around her. Your student of the month, Miss Vanessa Selly.
Spartan Spotlight?
Spartan Spotlight, we have our business manager, Chris McClady, getting our Spartan Spotlight this month, and she is extremely excited about this, receiving this award. Chris likes to hide behind her desk in numbers, so this is in her, she doesn't have it, we'll hear about that here in a minute. Chris is our current business manager. She hired in the district in January of 2014. Chris was born and raised in Harrison. She is married to her husband Todd. They have 2 boys, one of which is engaged to be married, right? Yes. And she will tell you she is a hornet at heart. Chris makes the daily drive from Harrison every day. The long trip from Clare County is filled with beautiful scenery and wildlife. Some of the most bountiful wildlife include white-tailed deer. Being the true conservationist that Chris is, She does her best to thin the herd out for all of us, and she had multiple incidents with deer running into her vehicle over the past 6 years. Is that accurate?
1 year?
In her spare time, Chris likes to enjoy the great outdoors. She hunts and likes to fish. Her favorite fish is to catch the suckers in Omer, Michigan. Chris and her family make the Omer Sucker Fest a family event. Chris currently holds a leadership role in preparing the annual Sucker Festival. Rumor has it that she somehow had something in the late 90s about the Sucker Festival Queen, but we're not quite sure if we can verify that. Chris also loves to camp. Her and her family own a lot at Big Bend Campground where she spends most of her summer. On a more serious note, Chris is an outstanding employee and business manager. She always is prepared, is highly accurate, and pays close attention to detail. Our auditors always comment on Chris and how well she does her job in preparing our audit. Our recent audits have been very good, and that's because of Chris's hard work. Chris is always looking at ways to save the district money. She drives a hard bargain, and vendors know that they can always do a little bit better than the first offer. Chris helped the district when we recently financed our bond that saved the district over $3 million. Chris works closely with board members, answers their questions quickly and accurately. Several of our board members have encouraged me to nominate Chris for the Spartan Spotlight. In closing, Chris is a true asset to our district. She works long hours and goes above and beyond the call of duty. Chris, congratulations on being our Spartan Spotlight. No speech?
No speech.
Yes, and she does it all without a door. I said this, she'll be glad to have this plaque, but would rather have a door. Doesn't have a door in her office.
Alright, thank you. Consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the consent agenda and pay bills totaling $440,833.03.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll have a roll call vote, please.
Bauer,
Yes.
Nicole Jones,
Yes.
Paul Poundeville,
Yes.
Sarah Clement,
Yes.
Linda Anderson, yes, Mark Kuchar.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Communication, Mr. B.
Thank you, Mr. Kuchar. My first talking point is the coronavirus preparation and information. I just want to let the board know, I think I've notified the board, let the community know that on our website, we recently put some information regarding some of the preparations we're taking. A lot of it comes from a memo that we received from Dr. Rice. He's the superintendent of instruction, about updated guidance. Some of the things they recommend is report influenza-like activity, absenteeism. We've done that. We check with the Bay County Health Department. We have to report those. Educate students and community about COVID-19. We've had some information in our classrooms about proper hygiene. Remain at home if you're sick. Wash your hands with soap and water. A lot of this information is from the CDC, and on our website there's a link to the CDC's website. At this point, as of today, there wasn't any COVID-19 in Michigan, but pretty much everywhere around us looks like they do have it. It's something that we're gonna probably have to prepare for, and at this point, our health department, Mr. Joel Strauss, he's the health department person at Bay County. We had a webinar last week in discussing if there is an actual case, it'll be coming, we'll be working with the health department, making that determination about what we're gonna do as far as the student and school in general. And any questions? I mean, you're hearing about it, but it's a matter of preparing for it, getting information out, and so far we haven't had a lot of, inquiries, but like I said, it's on our website. We put out a post in all of our Facebook pages, and there's information on the website if parents want it. Central, any questions about COVID-19? Any questions about any preparation? All right, I think we're in the same boat as a lot of the districts locally. I've worked with the Bay Area ISD as well. Central flooring project. Site committee met tonight on Central's flooring project. We are going to be looking at potentially tackling that project with the board's approval. And looking to abate, we have a pretty large abatement, and Paul's going to talk about this on the site committee, but the project includes abatement as well as replacement of tile because there's asbestos underneath the tile. I'll give you a little more details when that comes up in the site committee report. District accolades, I just wanted to kind of get this out there that in the last couple of weeks, and I know it's been either in the paper or it's been in my newsletter, just seems like we've gotten a really lot of good feedback over the last couple of weeks. You know, we had the robotics championship. I don't wanna not mention anything, but I'll just give you a couple. The robotics, we swept the noon optimist writing contest. Our Spartan dance team was honored recently. Our band got all ones in the high school. District champs last week with the girls basketball, and Tristan Dysowitz being an all-state wrestler. And then our Career Center award, we got a lot of awards in Career Center. And I know that student council recently, we had some students involved in that. That went very well. So just a lot of good things going on, and I just wanted to make sure we got that out there. Have you been hearing some of the same feedback?
Great, that's great.
Chamber housing meeting. Last week, I volunteered to host the Chamber of Commerce at a housing meeting, and the impetus of that meeting was there was a lot of discussion about need for housing in the area, and that I'm on the Chamber of Commerce, so when we wanted to talk about bringing in folks like there's some contractors, DeShano came in, we had the city manager, we had Mr. Barsha. It was quite well attended. We had people from the housing department, just kind of brainstorming on how do we get more suitable housing in our district, in this area, because could be some growth coming from some industries. And it was a very productive meeting, and I think we set the stage to meet again to kind of pursue promoting our area and really getting adequate housing for either multi-complex houses or single-family dwellings. But I think it was a very good start. I don't know if anyone was here at that meeting. Greg, you weren't at that either.
No, I was at basketball.
And again, I was at the table as a chamber meter, but also as a district. If we have people moving into the district, I want them to choose our district, because there are talk of some considerable amount of jobs coming into our area. So, just wanted to make sure you knew we were at the table, and they were very happy that we did host the meeting, and it's a pretty convenient place for most everyone. Okay, that's all I have. Oh, no, I don't, one more thing. I was notified last week by the city manager, the new city manager, that there were, our liaison officer is gonna be, at this point, temporarily or possibly eliminated because of some budget cuts. And we are working with him right now to see about proration, or we don't know how long this is gonna last, but I do know that the county has mentioned that they would be willing to kind of fill in the short term. So I think everyone's gonna be safe with the ability to pull in the county, but it's just a matter of, I wanted you to know that at this point, the liaison isn't currently being contracted through the city.
Any questions or comments from you?
I do. I think what the city manager's done is deceptive to the school district. We had to pay for the liaison officer, and I think that we need to have that money back. We don't have an officer here, and I think we need to have that prorated, if that's what they're gonna do, and we need it back as soon as possible, if not immediately. We paid them 2 weeks ago, and they laid off the officer shortly thereafter, so, I think it's wrong. They have a DDA that captures money, and to let the officer go, they're taking money out of their budget. They can't have a balanced budget, and they're taking money out for the Downtown Development Authority, but yet they're gonna let their police officers go. And as a board, I don't know what the other board members feel, but if we have to put it into a vote that we get that money back from the city immediately, because I personally feel it was a deceptive move. How much was the check for?
Well, we paid the city 20,000 for their liaison.
Yeah.
But again, I just, yeah, like I mentioned, there was talk of that. So, I mean, the timeliness of it is up to, I mean, if you wanted me to request it ASAP, that's up to you. He did say that there would be discussion. In fact, he talked to our business manager about that, so.
Yeah, I think at this moment it's being handled. I don't know if we need a motion at this point, but thank you for bringing that up. Any other comments or questions for Mike? All right, seeing none. Student representative, Ms. Lisner.
All right, so starting off with high school student council, the winter blood drive. So student council collected 26 pints of blood at the blood drive on March 3rd. This will allow us to help up to 78 individuals in our community. The final blood drive of the school year will occur on Friday, May 1st from 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. State conference. So 7 Pinconning High School students attended the student council state conference in Grand Rapids, sponsored by MASC MAHS, from February 29th through March 2nd. These students included Gretchen Linsner, Nate Rosecrans, Jenna Shafransky, Lily Lozon, Olivia White, Chance Wilzinski, and Reagan Lanchek. Chance Wilzinski also represented Pinconning High School throughout the 2019-2020 school year as a member of the State Board of Delegates and facilitated portions of the conference for the state. Jenna Shafransky was named Pinconning's unsung hero for her contributions to student council and was recognized in front of 2,100 students from across the state. Moving on to high school robotics. So at the robotics competition, the high school robotics team, the Loose Connections, were district winners at the robotics competition in Traverse City. The team currently ranked 26th out of 630 in the state. The team will compete in Alpena on March 27th and 28th, and most likely will qualify for the state competition, which will occur on April 8th. The varsity dance team. At the Spirit Shine competition, the varsity dance team competed and on February 29th. The team won first place in the jazz category and second place in the hip hop category. Season end showcase. The varsity dance team will showcase all of their routines from the season on Saturday, March 14th at 6 p.m. in the high school gym. Admission is $5 per person. The event will also feature concessions, raffles, and t-shirts for sale. Wrestling. State competition. Jacob Brooks and Tristan Dysowitz competed at state wrestling competition at Ford Field this past weekend. Jacob wrestled well and looks forward to a return visit next year for his senior season. Tristan placed 7th in the state in his weight. Varsity girls basketball. District tournament. The varsity girls basketball defeated Farwell in the district finals on Friday to earn their first district championship since 2001. The girls advanced to regionals on Tuesday in Grayling. Game time is set for 7:30 p.m. against Maple City Glen Lake. Skills USA. Many Pinconning High School students competed at Delta College on Friday, February 28th in the Skills USA competition. Regional winners qualified to compete at the State Skills and Leadership competition in Grand Rapids on April 17th through the 19th. Students who competed included Cody Sequin, Carpentry first place, Morgan Ferguson, Crime Scene Investigation, first place. Grace Floyd, Crime Scene Investigation, first place. Seth Clace, Employment Application Process, first place. Robert Fetters III, Precision Machining, first place. Justin Reeder, Electronics Technology, second place. Tommy Yanoski, Electronics Technology, second place. Dakota Hammond, Auto Service, second place. Tyler Walworth, Quiz Bowl, second place. Nathan Schultz, Diesel Equipment Technology, third place. Austin Zmerzlik, Job Interview, third place. Dylan Brady, Teamworks, third place. Brevin Herner and Austin Lepke, also Teamworks, third place. The powerlifting team. Jasmine Brazo competed in Lake Orion at the JV powerlifting state competition and placed 4th in her weight class. Cody Sequin placed 9th in the state at 165 pounds at the varsity powerlifting state competition. Pinconning Band's District Festival. The Pinconning Band earned the highest rating possible at the District Band Festival in Standish on Thursday, February 27th. The 1 rating qualifies the band to compete at the State Band Festival later this spring. The Pinconning Middle School Band earned a 2 rating at the same District Band Festival in Standish. And finally, AP Government. Michigan primary workers. Several of Miss Moran's students went through the election official training earlier this year and will be working at the polls during the Michigan presidential primary on Tuesday.
That's just what I said.
Thank you, Gretchen. Mr. Furman?
Thank you, Mr. Kuchar. Just a couple of things. I just want to remind board members that March is reading month and there are a lot of fun activities going on in the building, so please stop by and visit if you can. At Linwood Elementary, we have our carnival on Saturday, March 21st, which between 11 and 2, which is always a fun time. It brings a lot of parents into the building. And I also want to just mention that I've had a lot of positive feedback from parents from Central Elementary. Mr. Sanford has implemented a book study where the entire school is doing reading a book. They're doing activities at home. Parents are able to do activities at home with the students. Staff members are reading the book and putting it on YouTube so they can have somebody read it to them if they like. Mr. View is the latest of the readers, so just a lot of positive feedback, Mr. Sanford, on parents on that, so congratulations to you and your staff. Any questions?
All right, thank you, Mr. Furman. Any other administrative staff?
Kuchar's gonna read next week.
Yes, I have my assigned chapter. Any other staff?
Just at the high school, we're continuing to curriculum map. We're just about finished with that. Prepping for M-STEP and SAT, PSAT testing. So that's always a stressful time of the year, but everything seems to be in order with that. And we have a half day, and the goal for our half day PD is a community outreach project, so the group's gonna get together. We're gonna kind of identify one aspect of the community that we wanna reach and kind of a barrier to it, and then come up with an action plan to break down those barriers to reaching out to the community and to parents, so we have a plan on Wednesday.
And on Wednesday, March 18th, we're bringing in a licensed clinical therapist to bring light to the issue of social anxiety. We're hoping to have a Q&A that'll help parents to deal with that issue and the impact that seems to be having on school attendance and things. So we're anxious to bring some awareness to that issue.
Thank you. Any other staff?
Spring sports practice started today. We're attempting to get a student spectator bus together for tomorrow's game in Grayling for the girls for their first regional game. And the boys are in Farwell on Wednesday for their first district game.
How many do we need to get on the bus for that?
Minimum of 40. And
So-
we'll know that tomorrow morning.
And I talked to Mr. Stonebeck, and he said that if we get 30 kids to get on the bus, that student council would pitch in for the rest to get the spectator bus. So that was really cool of him to do that. So hopefully we can get the numbers, but he's willing to pitch in and help out for that. So
Great opportunity, show support. Thank you. I think that's all the staff. Jay, anything? All right. Board committee report.
Site committee met tonight, and we went over quite a few things, and we started off with Central tile project, and it's our recommendation that Mike goes forward with this after he's talked to budget, that looking at the scope of the project, to have to do it in sections, we're gonna pay to have them come back out to set up. If we try to do this in this year and next year, we're just gonna be paying a lot more to have them come out and do it. So our recommendation is that we do this as a one-time deal and get all that tile abated and new tile down. The dugouts, a dugout update from Mr. View, they're coming along. We just need to stay up with it and for the Title IX, we're trying to do the best we can to keep up, keeping it equal, and we'll see how that works out. The soccer field behind Central Elementary, we want to move forward with that, with the soccer field to come start leveling behind, Central L. We wanna do some tiling into the playground in Central L, dry that out, so John doesn't have to throw life preservers out to the kids. So we'd like to move on that probably this summer is what we were talking about. The chimney at Central Elementary, Mike's gonna have it inspected. When they did the roof, they're telling us that it does need to be, fixed. So he's gonna have it inspected and see what it's gonna take to get that fixed. And the bleachers. The bleachers are for the football field. We need to stay on the grants and, you know, with the Saginaw Chippewa tribe, keep writing for grants, and we'd like to move forward on that. And just a little ditty that Dan LePan donated the prints for the dugouts, so, that's, what'd you say, about $1,500?
A little more than that, I mean, if it's.
$2,000, almost a $2,000 just donation to the district for him to do the prints for it, so we appreciate that. That's it.
Any questions? All right, thank you. Non-consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the letter of intent from Sterling Area Health Clinic in order to perform a needs assessment for the school health clinic at Pinconning Area Schools.
Support.
A motion support, any discussion? Not? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Public comment, anybody like to address the board? And anybody want to address the board? All right. I would like to, well, we have discussion items. Anybody have any discussion items? No. I would like to thank all of you for coming out and address your concerns and ask your questions. What I would ask you to do is to answer those questions so we can give them complete, concise, clear answers to those questions, is that you put them in writing and you can address it to the board or Mr. View, and that way we can get you an adequate response in writing that you'll have. So I don't want you to go away with, you know, your questions still seem to be, you know, unanswered. We want to get you answers, but we want to do it in the right form. Okay. Any other discussion items?
Excuse me.
Yes.
You're saying that everything we ask, we now are asking us to put in writing and hand it to the superintendent?
Yes, sir. So we can give you a response in writing.
I never heard that before, but I understand.
It's just to be clear and concise.
That's what you're, never mind.
All right. If not, we have on the agenda a closed session, so I'll take a motion for that.
So moved.
Support.
We have motion support for student disciplinary hearing. Need a roll call vote for that, please.
Mike Bauer,
Yes.
Nicole Jones, Jared Clement, yes, Paul Thomasville,
Yes.
Linda Anderson, yes, Mark Kuchar.
Yes. All right. So we've concluded business on the agenda. We'll go into a closed session, and the only thing we'll come back out for a public session, will just any determination from the student here. Yeah.
We have to worry about the assessments we have now.